I got to test out the new iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone Air over the weekend to see if us filmmakers are getting any big updates. And at first I was like, oh, this is a little bit of a nothing update. And then the more I started looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's some really interesting updates that are either massively useful to you or things that you're probably not gonna use. And at first glance, it kind of seems like nothing big changed. But man, was I wrong. This is the filmmaker's review of the iPhone 17 Pro. For example, we get ProRes RAW OpenGate on an iPhone. That's insane. OpenGate ProRes RAW on a smartphone. The telephoto lens is now that same 48 megapixel sensor, so it's 56% bigger, it's way higher quality. An 18 megapixel square sensor front-facing camera, so you don't have to physically move your phone vertical or horizontal. You can just tap a button and use a different part of the sensor. We got Apple Log 2 now. There's a lot of features in here that are either gonna make a massive difference to you or you might not use them at all. And I feel like I have a lot to say.
Come on, guys! Get him!
First off, let's talk about the body. The colors are quite striking. When I first saw this orange color, I was like, whoa. And honestly, I actually kind of like it a lot. Usually I'm just like a black phone person, but this is sick. Plus it really pops in thumbnails, so that's cool. In different lights, I like it more and less. I actually like all three of the colors. I like that they're very different. There's like clear options. A lot of people want the black, obviously, but yeah, I kind of like the colors. And then we have the aluminum design. So on the 16 Pro, we had the titanium, which has its downsides, and now we have an aluminum phone again. First thing I realized is that aluminum is a lot softer. So I actually, in my first couple days, I don't know if you guys can see that, I already dented my aluminum phone. I go caseless. I went a whole year on the 16 Pro caseless, and if you look around, there is almost nothing on here, and I've dropped this many times. So titanium, definitely harder, aluminum softer, but now we have much better heat distribution or dissipation. So obviously there's certain parts in here that create a ton of heat, and the goal is to kind of spread it out and get it out as fast as you can. And aluminum is 20 times better at heat dissipation than titanium, so that's the big downside of titanium. And then we also have that vapor chamber thing going on, spreading out the heat. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm just being sold marketing stuff or that's actually useful. And it's also sometimes really hard to tell, are we getting those extra ProRes RAW and features, 120 frames per second in ProRes, those kinds of features, now that it's better at heat distribution and it's not gonna overheat and go crazy? Are they able to get more out of the hardware now? One super random interesting thing is, okay, do this test. If you have your phone like this and then you're about to watch a YouTube video, which way do you rotate your phone in your hand? For me personally, I always rotate the phone this way and then I hold it like this and I watch a YouTube video. Now, this is a funny, silly, I'm not sure why this change happened, but it's affecting my daily life using my phone. They changed where the speaker is, so now it's on the bottom here instead of on the titanium and other ones, it's been on the top. So when I go from here to here and I put my hand here, I am now actually covering the speaker. And at first I was like, whoa, is my speaker broken or something on this phone? What's going on here? I could feel the vibrations and the sound was going all weird, and it was just because I was covering the speaker. So now when I watch a YouTube video, I have to rotate this way and hold it like this, which maybe this makes more sense. I don't know, am I a psychopath that I rotate my phone this way? Or which way do you guys go? So yeah, just a very random little thing. I don't know if it really matters. It's just oh, I gotta get used to. putting my phone like that and watching a YouTube video. We also have new cases, the wide body strap. These cases, super high quality, really nice. This one, I feel like just fits really well, although I do feel like I would love a black case with this orange phone, and you just see little bits of the orange everywhere. I think black and orange just looks sick. And then you have this unibody strap, which has some such interesting Apple things. I think there's magnets in this strap that keep it together nice and clean. That is so Apple, so smart. But then this the way you attach it to the case is just literally physically looping the string into the case, which just does not feel like Apple. It is so hard to get these strings in here. So if you want to get rid of this, it's pretty easy to get off, but takes a few seconds. And then to put it back, it's like a nightmare. You gotta take off the case and loop it through there physically. It's hard. That just doesn't feel very Apple to me. I would like to see a better solution for that. It's kind of like two different, departments were talking, and we made a sick strap and we made a sick case, and oh wait, yeah, how do we put them together? We'll just use string and loop them. That feels a little not Apple to me. But I personally nowadays don't use cases anyway, so I'm not sure if that matters that much. I thought these wide body straps would be like a fashion trend. Because they're kind of annoying to use, I feel like that's less likely now. I also did get my hands on the iPhone Air, which is when you hold this, you're like, whoa, this is wild. But I just don't think it's for me. It's only got one camera. It's the wide camera. I need an ultra wide camera. That is my favorite camera on the iPhones. It is incredible. It is so good. And this doesn't have it. So it kind of just automatically means I just wouldn't get this. Now I did show my dad this and he's like, oh, this is really nice. I like this. So I think there will be certain people that don't care about the cameras, for example, as much. This will be incredible. Now for me personally, this might be one of the most incredible monitors to use with your cameras. I already made a video on why the iPhones are one of the best monitors that you can just use if you're a one-man band. Even right now, I am literally using an app to see what I'm recording. I use this all the time. It's not perfect latency, but I can see exactly what's going on here. I'm not gonna be pulling focus from that, but you can also plug it in USB-C and you could literally pull focus from that. So this is so lightweight, tiny, decent battery life. Yeah, this is an interesting monitor for me. I think a lot of other people will pick this up and this is the iPhone for me. I love this. For me, the cameras are way too important. I want all of them, especially the ultra wide. Now I'm gonna quickly mention AI. I am actually glad. It's weird, I've done this weird 180. I'm glad Apple is talking about AI stuff less. I'm less and less thinking oh, when AI becomes super intelligence and it's so much smarter and it's just doing everything, and more thinking what if AI is just pretty dumb and it's never gonna be as smart as us. The more I hear companies talking about their AI features, the more I'm skeptical. For example, the Google Pixel camera coach thing where it's move the phone up a little bit, move it right, go closer, now take the photo. And it kind of, you end up with a crappy photo and you just took a whole bunch of time doing this AI thing. It's just adding a stupid step when what's a lot easier, just going bam, bam, bam. Yeah, that's the best photo. Everybody can do that. That's so easy. You don't have to okay, left, right, and then you end up with a crappy photo at the end of it. It's what is the point of this AI stuff? So yeah, I'm kind of glad Apple chilled on the AI stuff. Whether that's good or bad long run, I have no idea. But right now, it just all feels very do we really need this? Is this actually helping us? Because I'm much more skeptical now. I have a lot to say about that. Let's continue. All right. Cameras. Biggest update to me really is ProRes RAW. That means that you can change white balance and ISO, your exposure afterwards in post, kind of like a raw photo. Quality should be higher. The only problem is you do need to record that onto an external drive, so you can't record it onto the phone. It's also massive file sizes, but it also means you can shoot open gate. So use the whole sensor of the iPhone, shoot ProRes RAW on all three of the different cameras. You can't do the 2x, that makes sense. And there is no stabilization when you're doing that. So That is gonna be a big downside for a lot of people, but if you're shooting on a tripod locked off like this, not gonna be a big deal. And I wanted to see the difference in quality between ProRes RAW, normal ProRes 422 HQ, and then HVC H.265. How much of a quality difference is there? Because there is massive file size differences. And you can already shoot OpenGate on the 16 Pro using Perla and OpenCam, I think that's the other one. And you still get some stabilization, I think, in there, a little bit less, but some stabilization. And you don't have to shoot ProRes, you don't have to shoot ProRes RAW. So you can shoot in just H.265, get OpenGate. It's very interesting. You can also use that on the 17 Pro, but right now the Perla app at least was like very laggy. Why is OpenGate so interesting? Well, A, you can shoot anamorphic and then it becomes like a reasonable aspect ratio. If you're shooting 16:9 and using anamorphic lenses, then the aspect ratio ends up being always like kind of like a sliver super wide, which doesn't really work for a lot of formats, online, movies, whatever. Second is you can get horizontal and vertical from the same video. That's really useful actually. A lot of people do that even in the high-end commercial spaces. They're all the time trying to shoot 4x3 or 3x2, and then therefore they can do like their vertical social media stuff, but also their horizontal from the same footage. And then 3, it kind of just looks cool. It's a cool aspect ratio. I think it's kind of like the crop bars on top and bottom. It's the new side crop bars are cool. I know I'm simplifying things, but yeah, it's kind of a cool aspect ratio. ProRes RAW, OpenGate, the biggest downside is gonna be that data. It's a massive amount of data, and that just means a lot of people won't use that. But it's kind of nice to have that capability. I always like having like overkill options, and then you can kind of choose what you want to use for your project. Maybe even bigger is the fact that we now get Apple Log 2. We've had Apple Log for a little bit. This is Apple Log 1. We now have Apple Log 2. So this is now Apple Log 2, which in theory should be better colors, I believe. And then now in DaVinci Resolve, when you're like choosing the color space transform, choosing, you know, like going from the log footage to Rec 709, instead of just choosing Rec 2020, there is now an Apple Log 2 color gamut. So that should make color grading with Apple Log even easier. It was already pretty easy, but it was a little harder than I think a lot of like the Sony log codecs and all, or profiles and all those. But yeah, I'm curious, is it a lot better, or is it still better to use something like the Perla app and then use their Sony log emulation in there, so, or whatever camera you're using, Nikons that are Canon, whatever, to match with your other cameras? Because I really like that on the Perla app. If you haven't checked it out, very interesting. All right, so this is an interesting test. This is the 17 Pro versus the 16 Pro. We are on the ultra wide camera. Is there any difference between the two in terms of video quality? I'm super curious. It's the same hardware. We do now have Apple Log 2, but I feel like, let's be honest, we probably get the Apple Log 2 on the 16 Pro. That just seems like a software thing. But you never know. Is Apple doing some interesting stuff with the processing that just makes it look way better now? Here's the wide camera comparison. Both of these are shot in the ProRes Apple Log in the native camera app. Here's a little comparison between the Sony FX3 and the iPhone 17 Pro, just so we could kind of see like a baseline quality difference. I tried to mimic the different lenses a little bit. Obviously, there's differences in the lenses and f-stop and all that stuff. It's not scientific, but it's always interesting to see where are we in terms of phone quality difference, because every year that goes by, I recommend the iPhone to more people as their like first, I want to make videos camera, which is really interesting. What do you think? Is there a massive difference between the Sony quality and the iPhone 17 Pro? So far, we've only really been talking about software stuff. Was there any hardware improvements? Yes, we two big ones, I would say. One is the telephoto lens is now that same 48 megapixel sensor that we have on the wide and ultra wide. That's 56% bigger. And I right away when I was recording with it, I was like, oh yeah, the quality is definitely better. Now, because it's a bigger sensor, the zoom actually goes to a 4x instead of a 5x. 100 mil, and then we get that digital fusion camera all the way to 8x, and that's basically just like a digital zoom, but then they're doing some fanciness to make it even higher quality than just in post digitally zooming. And here is the telephoto zooms. We can see the difference between the 5x and the 4x. It's now 4x because it's a bigger sensor, so it's just not going to be as zoomed in. And wow, yeah, quality difference is quite huge. For me, it's the camera that I use the least. It's kind of just like I use it to, like, you know, if my kids are like far away and I'm too lazy to go over there, I'll use it. Most of the time I'm on the ultra wide and then the wide sometimes. Telephoto is my least used camera, so this isn't a huge update for me, but some people are gonna love it. And now Apple is saying that they have 8 different camera lenses in the iPhone. The macro, debatable, 13mm, 24mm, 28mm, 35mm, 48mm, 100mm, and then the 200mm. Macro isn't really a focal length, but I understand what they're saying. In video, we get the 13mm, the 24mm, the 48mm, 100mm, and then 200mm. And then the other big update is the front-facing selfie camera. We now have a square sensor. So that means when you are using it, you can either record vertically like this, or you just hit this button, and now you got horizontal. It's just using a different part of the sensor because it's square. You can go vertical or horizontal. It does also use some like AI stuff to figure out, oh, how many people are in frame? How wide do I need to go? Their center stage stuff. For me, I would rather just do that manually, but you know, I'm used to cameras and stuff. If you're not used to cameras, you might love that feature. This is me using the square sensor vertically. Now we're using it horizontally. So I didn't physically turn the iPhone at all. You don't need to do that anymore. You just press the button and it flips it for you because it's a square sensor. It's the same quality this way and this way. It's just using a different part of the sensor, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, we can't record open gate, the whole square sensor. I would love that. But I'm curious, how does this quality differ now with the back cameras in terms of video? So this is the 16 megapixel front square sensor camera now. This is the ultra wide now. So this is the back camera. Now I can't see myself. I can't see what I'm recording. Unfortunate. I would love a screen on the back of the iPhone, even just a small one to see kind of framing and what's going on. And this is the wide camera. So now we're on the wide back facing again. I can't see what I'm filming. I can't see if somebody's coming from behind me. Whereas the front facing camera does have some nice like logistical functional benefits of using that. I almost always just use the back cameras. Most of the time the ultra wide, that's the best camera in my opinion. We also now get the dual capture format, so we can capture both the back camera and the selfie camera at the same time. Unfortunately, it bakes them together, so to me this is a little bit useless, but it could be interesting in certain situations, social media stuff, whatever. Like, check out my camera here, and then I'm reacting to it. But yeah, it would be way nicer if you could have the files separated and have both the files and the baked file. You can use apps like Detail, for example. Detail can record both at the same time. It's incredible. But yeah, still a nice little update. One of the interesting things is that you can now use your AirPods. These are the AirPods Pro 3s, which are incredible. The sound is like so good. Like I think that's like the most bass I've ever had in like an in-ear, and then the noise canceling, very nice translation. There's a lot of interesting features in here. But more importantly for us filmmakers is that you can now use these as a wireless microphone. So here's me recording with just the internal iPhone microphones. The audio's pretty great, but check this out. Now we are using the AirPods Pro 2s as a wireless microphone. So I'm pretty far from the iPhone right now, and the audio should be pretty dang good. This is interesting. This might just mean that you don't really need to buy any wireless microphones. The only question is, do I look stupid doing a video like this? Like, hey guys, what's going on? And I got AirPods in my ears. But this could be a huge save in a lot of situations where you need a wireless microphone. You're like, shoot, I don't have anything. Yeah, very interesting. This works really well, and it actually, you can even use like these are the AirPods. What are we on, the 2s, not the Pros. You can choose this as your microphone. I don't know how good this is compared to this. I need to do a whole test with them. But yeah, that's an interesting feature. I'm not sure, you still have AirPods in your ears, so you might look a little silly, but which is better, doing this or having them in your ears? I don't know. But yeah, I find that very interesting. If you don't have a wireless microphone, this is incredible. We also have Gen Lock, which is like, I never thought Apple would be talking about Gen Lock. Essentially, you can make multiple cameras be recording at the exact same time so that you can sync them in post. Why is this important? Well, for example, a bullet time rig where you have 20 iPhones all together, you can get them to be precisely all recording at the exact same time. For example, 28 years later, they used iPhones for the bullet time rigs. I have a feeling they got to use it already. If they didn't, they would have loved Gen Lock, but it's one of those features where most people are like, I have no idea what that is. So it's kind of an interesting thing for Apple to put in there. Honestly, when I first saw the 17 Pro, I felt like not much had changed, but I actually think there might be way more than people realize. At least when I was starting to like look at all the stuff, I was like, oh, there's actually way more stuff that is new or has changed. What stuff is actually really valuable and useful? That is still slightly up for debate. And then I'm just curious about, like the better heat dissipation and all that stuff. How much of a difference is that gonna make just in the daily use between the 16 and 17? But I always love it when there's new camera updates. We got that new telephoto, we got Apple Log 2, we got ProRes RAW, OpenGate. Very interesting updates for us filmmakers. Even the AirPods as a wireless microphone, that is just a really great tool for us filmmakers, especially social media people. Let me know, what do you guys think? Are these really insane features, or are they kind of like cool, but I don't really need them? That's what I'm curious about right now. And what's your favorite color? I kind of like the orange. I think it's sick. Actually, I like all three of the colors. That's like a first for me, where I like all of the colors a lot.